Welcome to HFY Sci-Fi Stories. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss new stories. The Academy's main hall pulsed with blue light from a holographic display, illuminating empty rows of seats as Director Vashtek reviewed the morning roster, his four eyes blinking in sequence. A single name snagged his attention like a beacon of warning. Human Cadet Parker Chloe. He spoke it slowly, as one might decipher obscure industrial cleaner ingredients. Species classification: mammalian bipedal. Threat level: minimal. Recommended training track: basic. 6 months prior, the Academy's AI had identified Earth as a nascent world with potential. Their military was rudimentary by galactic standards: fossil fuel propulsion, ballistic weaponry, no energy shields. While the species displayed commendable resolve, they lacked the inherent physical advantages of elite soldiers. Most human candidates faltered within their first week. Yet this one had surmounted the entrance examinations. Vashtek's secondary arms rhythmically tapped his desk. Her test scores were peculiar, not outstanding, but remarkably consistent, hinting at either extraordinary fortune or an element beyond the Academy's analytical grasp. "Sir," his aide, a nervous Corvin with fidgeting limbs, interjected, peering at the display. "The human's medical scans are incomplete." "Incomplete? How?" The bioscanners had registered scar patterns, but the classification system failed to identify the instruments that inflicted them. The AI had simply logged it as insufficient data and moved on. Vashtek's mandibles clicked, a gesture akin to a human shrug. "Likely training mishaps. Humans are notoriously fragile. Update her file with standard injury advisories and assign her to Instructor Keith Moss's basic combat orientation." 3 hours later, Chloe Parker stood in the Academy's transport bay, observing a shuttle dock with an almost oppressive mechanical perfection, as if conceived by someone entirely unfamiliar with the concept of improvement. The Academy itself was a testament to engineering prowess, a colossal station orbiting the neutral zone, meticulously crafted to mold the galaxy's finest warriors. Her journey here had spanned 2 weeks, a meandering route through freighters and passenger vessels. Her sole possessions a duffel bag and a heavily encrypted recommendation letter from a Commander Hayes, a missive no one had yet requested she reveal. The shuttle bay doors hissed open, and Chloe caught her first glimpse of her fellow cadets. They possessed the imposing presence of apex predators, a contingent of Corvin warriors, their 6 arms weaving intricate patterns that could have been coded communication or aggressive posturing, stood near the far wall. Their exoskeletons shimmered under the station's lighting, each movement suggesting an effortless ability to rend steel. Close by, a cluster of crystalline entities vibrated at frequencies that set Chloe's teeth on edge. Zephyrian sound warriors, her xenobiology briefings recalled, capable of shattering bone with their vocalizations and navigating by echolocation. And then there was her, a 5'6" embodiment of standard-issue humanity, clad in boots that had clearly seen better eras and a jacket that likely contravened several dress codes. "Attention, new arrivals," a disembodied voice announced, a product of the Academy's pervasive communication network. "Report to Training Bay 7 for orientation and initial assessment. Your instructors will evaluate your capabilities and assign appropriate training protocols." Chloe followed the throng through corridors seemingly designed to diminish visitors, their walls adorned with holographic murals depicting the Academy's most celebrated graduates, legendary combatants who had commanded fleets, defended worlds, and performed acts of valor that had become bedtime tales across the cosmos. Training Bay 7 rivaled a football stadium in scale, featuring obstacles that defied terrestrial physics and training apparatus reminiscent of a medieval torture museum. Dominating the center was Instructor Keith Moss, a Corvin whose 6 limbs moved with unnerving autonomy as he addressed the assembled recruits. "I am Instructor Keith Moss," he declared, his voice resonating with an authority born of unquestioned experience. "I have trained warriors for 43 years. I have encountered every species, every fighting style, every technique known across the stars." His primary arms gestured to the cadets. "Today, you will demonstrate your proficiencies, allowing me to discern who among you might one day merit the Academy's advanced tutelage." His 4 eyes scanned the group, registering a flicker of approval for the Corvins, a respectful pause for the Zephrons, and then coming to an abrupt halt at Chloe. "And you," he stated, his tone softening to what was likely considered geniality within his species, "must be our human representative." All heads turned toward her. Chloe felt their collective scrutiny, not precisely hostile, but intensely analytical. A chilling assessment, like a predator evaluating prey, awaited Chloe. This room, familiar yet fraught, Additional different stakes, a different audience. Yes, sir, she replied, her voice flat. Excellent. As our newest, most vulnerable recruit, you'll demonstrate your species' combat prowess for the class. Keith Moss's mandibles clicked, a sound akin to amusement. Humans, given your physical limitations, have proven remarkably creative in warfare. Sir, a Corin cadet interjected, wouldn't showcasing established techniques first be more instructive? Perhaps one of us could demonstrate. Moss dismissed the suggestion with a wave of 4 arms. Nonsense. The Academy's philosophy is inclusive. Every species contributes, even by revealing what it doesn't work. He turned to Chloe. I'll be your sparring partner. Don't worry, I'll be gentle. The training bay's medical scanners whirred to life. Standard combat procedure. Dr. Poldrun, somewhere in the Academy's medical center, reviewed baseline readings, ensuring readiness for the upcoming encounter. But Chloe hesitated, not at the impending fight, but at Moss's tone. Gentle, almost explanatory, like a drill instructor who'd never faced true combat. This was the confidence of untested assumptions. Before we begin, Chloe stated, her voice clear, I must clarify, I am not your typical Academy candidate. Moss's mandibles twitched. A scholar? An engineer? No worries, he reassured. The Academy has successfully trained non-combat specialists before. We'll find something appropriate for your skill set. She took in the high-tech environment, the sophisticated safety protocols exceeding Earth's, designed to minimize risk, maximizing learning. This was a combat simulator, a sanitized battlefield. Not quite, she said, rolling up her sleeves. A jagged scar snaked from wrist to elbow, not surgical, not accidental. A plasma burn marked her forearm, the circular pattern of a close-range weapon. A cluster of precise scars near her shoulder, shrapnels or an explosion's mark. The training bay fell silent. Interesting, Moss said, his confidence waning. Training accidents, graduation exercises, Chloe responded, flexing her hands. It was rough. The medical scanners erupted. Dr. Poldrun's face registered horror as he witnessed the impossible. Chloe's readings were off the charts, not in physical ability, but in trauma markers. Scar tissue patterns indicated exposure to 12 distinct weapon types, including ones absent from Earth's technology database. Emergency consultation, he muttered, contacting Director Vashtek. In the training bay, Moss reassessed his assumptions. The human was unchanged. Average height, no weapons, no armor. Yet in her stance, her movements, her gaze, there was a profound change, a calculated awareness, as if evaluating distance and angles. Perhaps, he began cautiously, we should start with basic defensive postures. Sir, Chloe interrupted, there seems to be a misunderstanding of my training. The Academy database categorizes Earth as a developing world with primitive military technology, correct? Moss's mandibles clicked uncertainly. Precisely. And humans, though promising, are often classified as fragile recruits. That's the assessment terminology. Chloe nodded slowly, like someone explaining the complex to someone who wouldn't like the answer. The problem is, she said, the assessment writers likely lacked access to our true military capabilities. Their probes scanned our civilian tech, our starships, even our defenses, all standard first contact procedures. Crucially, they never accessed files detailing Earth's true military training. A palpable tension filled the training bay. Cadets shifted, their instincts reacting to an unknown threat. The Corvin warriors drew closer, their 6 arms adopting defensive postures. Human, Kathmos's voice held a new, genuine concern. Describe your graduation exercise. Chloe surveyed the sterile environment, the safety measures, the controlled space where combat was learned without true peril. Survival, she stated simply. We were dropped into active combat with minimal gear, tasked with reaching extraction. Those who succeeded beat. Those who didn't? She shrugged. They didn't. That was the moment the Academy's emergency comms blared to life, silent for 6 years. Director Vashtek's voice, laced with an urgency that implied their ordered universe had just revealed far more dangerous edges, echoed through the bay. All training is immediately suspended. Cadet Parker, report to my office for immediate consultation. Instructor Kithmos, please accompany her. As Chloe rolled down her sleeves, concealing scars that had just shattered the Academy's understanding of basic training, she asked Kithmos, Sir, should I bring my gear? What gear? He replied. My combat gear. I thought you'd want to see what Earth's military actually equipped us with. Kithmos's four eyes blinked in unison, a telltale sign of his struggle to categorize this unprecedented information. What? What sort of equipment? Chloe's smile was the kind that made seasoned warriors reach for their weapons, an unnerving, unexplainable instinct. The kind that will likely rewrite your Academy's threat assessment protocols. Walking toward the director's office, Kithmos questioned if their insurance covered fundamental misinterpretations of new species, and if anyone had bothered to ask Earth's military about their standard operating procedures. He suspected not, and that was a growing problem. Director Vashtek's office commanded the highest level of the administrative wing, its viewports offering a commanding panorama of the neutral zone. Usually designed to project authority, today it felt like a panic room. Sit, Vashtek instructed, gesturing to chairs newly adjusted for human proportions. His four eyes were fixed on a holographic display, teeming with alarming data points. Chloe sat. Kithmos remained standing, his 6 arms twitching with a mix of nervousness and readiness for violence. Dr. Puldrin, Vashtek said, not looking away from the display. Explain your medical scanner's findings. The Academy's chief medical officer appeared as a flickering hologram, his crystalline form wavering as the comms system strained with the data transfer. Director, the human's biosignatures indicate combat trauma exceeding our classification parameters. He paused, his form shifting colors as he consulted his readings. Our systems catalog injuries from training, accidents, minor skirmishes. They are not equipped to analyze damage patterns from what appears to be prolonged exposure to actual warfare. Dash's mandibles clicked slowly. Define actual warfare. The scar tissue analysis suggests encounters with plasma weapons, kinetic projectiles, explosives, chemical burns, and at least 3 energy weapon types unknown to our database. The healing patterns indicate these injuries occurred over months, not hours. Months, Chloe stated softly. The graduation exercise was 16 weeks long. The office fell silent, save for the Academy's life support hum and the faint, urgent voices from the communications bay. 16 weeks, Kithmos repeated, his tone suggesting an attempt to reconcile the impossible. A chilling unease gripped the room as uncategorized information flooded the briefing. Chloe confirmed, 3 active combat zones. We moved candidates through varied environments, facing diverse threats and objectives. The aim, testing resilience under pressure. How many began this grueling exercise? Vashtek demanded. 237. How many graduated? 43. Dr. Podrin's holographic form shuddered through a spectrum of colors, mirroring the escalating fear. Director, if my calculations are correct, Earth's military has an appalling 82% graduation mortality rate, a good year, considering the last class had only 31 graduates. Vashtek's secondary arms hammered against his desk, a nervous tic developed during complex diplomatic negotiations. This, he realized, was exponentially more difficult. Human, what foes did you confront? Chloe's voice was flat. Mostly each other, she replied. The scenarios pitted squads against each other, limited resources, contested territory, vague objectives. Instructors added complications, environmental hazards, equipment malfunctions, false intelligence. You battled fellow candidates with live ammunition. A profound understanding settled over the room. The philosophy was, if you couldn't withstand combat against those familiar with your training, you wouldn't stand against true enemies. Keith's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sound that resonated with dread. The weaponry standard Earth military kinetic rifles, plasma sidearms, fragmentation grenades, basic combat armor, the tools of conflict, Vashtek protested. But our intelligence reports detail Earth's military technology as primitive by galactic standards. Chemical propulsion, no energy shields, limited spatial capabilities, the exploration and civilian technologies we share. We don't reveal military specifics to first contact teams. A soft chime signaled a new voice. Captain Zilrath, Orbital Command. Director Vashtek, an urgent situation. We've monitored communications from the Sol system. Since this morning's incident, Earth's command has deployed a massive defensive fleet, a staggering 1,200 vessels. Vashtek's eyes blinked. Our reports indicated Earth possessed only 50 interstellar-capable vessels. This is their actual military navy, Zilrath continued. Some vessels register as Dreadnought class or higher. Impossible. Kithmos interjected. The technology, less advanced than estimated. Zilrath explained. Built using that very primitive technology. Kinetic weapons, chemical propulsion, no shields. Yet they've built them in numbers suggesting a military-industrial complex far more developed than our analysts projected. A tremor of unease spread through the room. Confusion? Chloe's voice was calm, but strained. Perhaps. The room's temperature plummeted. Every breath stopped. 300 years. Vashtek's voice was a barely audible whisper. Resource conflicts, territorial disputes, the long war. The graduation exercises simulated standard battlefield conditions. Dr. Podrin's form throbbed with anxiety. Against who, for 3 centuries? Mostly each other, Chloe replied. Humans are inherently competitive, but the military infrastructure, developed through those conflicts, proved invaluable when venturing into space, realizing we weren't alone. The fleet surrounding your system, Zilrath said slowly. How long to reach Academy space, using standard Earth military procedures? How long until military protocol kicks in? About 6 weeks, give or take. But that's only if they believe I'm here, which is unlikely. Why? They don't deploy offensively. Defense is their priority. Earth's military command likely received a report, one of their own, held by an unknown alien entity in an unknown locale. Standard operating procedure dictates full defensive deployment pending resolution. They aren't initiating hostilities, but neither will they permit any. Vashtek's mandibles stilled. Human, are you implying Earth's military perceives your presence here as a possible hostage situation? I'm saying they lack comprehensive galactic understanding, and when a soldier's involved, they default to extreme caution. Define caution. 1,200 ships sounds like an initial defensive spread. If they truly suspected danger, they'd dispatch the real fleet. Real fleet, the planet killers. The Academy's emergency comm buzzed, a priority alert shaking the very walls. All senior staff report to the command center immediately. Incoming communication from Earth's military command. Bastik rose deliberately, concealing whatever panic surged within his alien veins. Human, you must comprehend. This academy has fostered peaceful relations with over 40 species for a century. Never has a student's government responded to enrollment with a battle fleet. Understood, sir. Do you truly? Earth's military appears to consider the most prestigious academy in known space a potential threat to one of their soldiers. That seems accurate, sir. And you are unconcerned? Chloe shrugged slightly. Standard procedure. They'll remain in defensive formation until receiving confirmation I'm to hear of my own free will, and safety isn't compromised. Then they'll likely recall the fleet, filing it as an interstellar diplomatic learning experience. And if they don't receive that confirmation? Then comes active reconnaissance. Scout ships gathering data on the Academy's capabilities and intent. And should they conclude a soldier is being held against their will? Chloe's expression remained unchanged, but her posture subtly tightened, that same barely perceptible shift that unnerved Keithmos during training. Then, she continued, they'll do what Earth's military always does when its people are threatened. Whatever it takes to bring them home. The comm system crackled. A new voice human, female, imbued with the unmistakable authority of someone accustomed to obedience flooded the office. Galactic Defense Academy, this is Admiral Thompson of the Earth Defense Force. We understand you have one of our soldiers. We wish to arrange a discussion. Silence followed, and Vashtek realized the Academy's threat assessment protocols weren't merely incomplete, they were catastrophically flawed. And a nagging voice whispered that perhaps they should have inquired about Earth's definition of standard operating procedure before presuming to understand what primitive truly meant. It might be too late now. The command center was intended to orchestrate training exercises across star systems, not to manage first contact with a species deploying enough firepower to annihilate planets while politely requesting a chat with a student. Admiral Thompson's professional courtesy radiated from the speakers, somehow magnifying, not diminishing, the menace. We are prepared to pursue this through proper channels. However, let me state unequivocally that the safety of our personnel is our primary concern. Director Vashtek activated the response channel, his hands betraying a tremor. Admiral Thompson, this is Director Vashtek of the Galactic Defense Academy. I assure you your soldier is here of her own volition as part of our standard cadet program. I appreciate that, Director. We wish to verify that directly with Cadet Parker, if permissible. Of course. She's here with me. Chloe approached the comm panel. Admiral Thompson, Cadet Parker reporting. I'm fine, Mom. No coercion, no detention, no issues. Good to hear you, Parker. What is your assessment of the facility and its training? Comprehensive and professional, ma'am. The Academy has excellent resources and appear standards for cadet development. Understood. And your personal status, cadet? Green across the board, Admiral. The Academy staff has proven exceedingly accommodating and respectful throughout my orientation. A profound silence descended, thick and heavy, in the command center, a moment where every mind collectively grasped the sheer, terrifying power of the voice on the line, a commander whose fleet could obliterate their academy into dust. Very good, Cadet. We shall maintain standard protocols pending your training's completion. Director, we wish to arrange formal diplomatic contact to discuss ongoing cooperation between our organizations. Certainly, Admiral, the Director replied. We eagerly embrace the opportunity for expanded relations. Excellent. Our diplomatic corps will reach out through established channels. Thompson, out. The link severed, leaving the command center cloaked in the profound stillness that follows a controlled detonation. Standard protocols, Captain Zilrath murmured, a slow realization dawning. Apparently, that includes maintaining a battle fleet at ready status. They'll likely scale back the deployment soon, Chloe offered, striving for calm reassurance. Once Earth Command confirms my voluntary presence and the Academy's non-hostile intentions, they'll reassign most of those ships to regular duties. Most of them, Keith Moss echoed, incredulous. They'll probably retain a squadron or two for diplomatic escort, a standard procedure when establishing new interstellar relationships. Bashtek, his expression a roadmap of profound struggle, stared at his displays, wrestling decades of military doctrine against incomprehensible, contradicting data. Human, I need an answer to something vital. Your people have waged continuous warfare for 3 centuries. They operate a military fleet exceeding 1,000 vessels, and they deem deploying that entire force standard procedure for protecting a single soldier. Yes, sir. Yet Earth made no attempt to establish formal contact with galactic civilization until we approached them. That's correct. Why? Chloe considered the gravity of the query with a thoughtful intensity, as if revealing a complex truth. Earth's government adheres to a strict policy of non-interference in the affairs of other species until formal diplomatic relations are explicitly established. We were aware of other civilizations, yes, but we would never impose ourselves on anyone who did not seek contact. You knew of our existence? Our deep space monitoring stations have tracked galactic communication traffic for approximately 50 years. We understood there was a vast interstellar civilization, but we simply assumed that if you truly wished to speak with us, you would initiate contact when you were prepared. Dr. Poldren's shimmering holographic form abruptly rematerialized. Director, I've been analyzing the Academy's intelligence files on Earth while monitoring this conversation. I believe we face a grave problem, far exceeding the battle fleet currently orbiting our neighboring star system. The Academy's threat assessment database has categorized Earth solely based on information gleaned from their civilian and exploration infrastructure. But if Cadet Parker's assertions are accurate, we've only observed roughly 5% of their true capabilities. Explain. The vessels we detected and meticulously catalogued were exclusively civilian, merchant marine, research platforms, colony transports. Their actual military ships possess entirely different energy signatures, unique propulsion systems, and vastly superior capabilities. Bashtek's mandibles began their agitated clicking once more. Are you implying our intelligence reports are merely incomplete? I'm stating our intelligence reports are catastrophically, profoundly wrong. The technology Earth considers standard military equipment would be classified as advanced weaponry among half the species we educate here. That's impossible, Guthmus protested, his voice strained. We've reviewed their technology specifications. Chemical propulsion, kinetic weapons, no energy shields. That's primitive by galactic standards. Chloe calmly interjected, May I inquire what you consider advanced weapons? Plasma cannons, gravitational manipulators, quantum disruption fields, matter converters. And for power sources, crystalline energy matrices, fusion cores, antimatter containment systems, ammunition, energy projectiles, coherent light beams, particle streams. Chloe nodded slowly, a profound understanding in her gaze. The fundamental truth about kinetic weapons is their simplicity, their unwavering reliability, and their universal functionality. You cannot jam a bullet, you cannot hack a projectile, and you certainly cannot disable a kinetic weapon with an electromagnetic pulse. They might seem primitive, but they are profoundly, unequivocally proven. Earth's entire military philosophy is forged around using technology that performs flawlessly under the most extreme, unimaginable conditions. If you cannot absolutely rely on it when everything else collapses, it does not belong on the battlefield. But surely more advanced weapons are simply more effective, are they not? What happens to your plasma cannons if someone compromises your power grid? What happens to your energy shields if someone overloads your crystal matrices? What happens to your particle? What if Earth's beam weapons are rendered useless by widespread jamming? The command center fell silent, seasoned officers grappling with the profound implications. Human, Captain Zrath stated slowly. Are you implying Earth deliberately chose simpler technology for its combat reliability? I'm suggesting Earth's military honed its technology through 3 centuries of active warfare, confronting foes who understood their capabilities and actively sought to neutralize them. Every system, every weapon, every piece of equipment has endured rigorous testing in actual combat against adversaries intent on destroying those who wielded them. In contrast, the rest of galactic civilization has enjoyed centuries of relative peace, a blessing indeed, as peace surpasses war. Yet this prolonged tranquility means most galactic military technology originates from laboratories and simulations, not battlefields. Dr. Puldren's form flickered through multiple color spectrums. Director, updated intelligence from our monitoring stations indicates Earth's defensive deployments include vessels our sensors struggle to identify. They appear constructed with the same core technology as their smaller craft, yet their power output readings defy any known propulsion systems. These ships generate energy signatures, suggesting they carry weaponry far more devastating than conventional arms. Planet killers, Chloe murmured, recalling her earlier mention. What precisely is a planet killer? Vashtek inquired, his tone betraying a reluctance to hear the answer. Kinetic bombardment platforms, Chloe explained. They accelerate massive objects to a significant fraction of light speed before releasing them upon their targets. The impact unleashes energy comparable to antimatter explosions. Yet no exotic technology is involved, only exceptionally advanced engines and targeting systems. How many such vessels does Earth possess? The exact number is classified, but Admiral Thompson would not have deployed them unless Earth's command deemed the situation potentially grave. But you assured them of your safety. I did, and they will adjust their deployment accordingly. However, they will not leave us questioning Earth's military capacity to address threats against our people. Captain Zilroth's voice, carefully modulated to mask growing alarm, echoed through the communication system. Director, long-range sensors detect movement within the Earth fleet. Several vessels are repositioning. Moving towards us? No, sir. Moving away. It seems they are beginning to withdraw the larger vessels from the formation. That's positive news, isn't it? Keith Moss asked. Perhaps, Zilroth replied. But they are leaving behind a squadron of 8 ships. Our sensors indicate these are the vessels with the anomalous energy signatures. The planet killers, Vashtek confirmed. Diplomatic escort, Chloe corrected. Standard protocol when establishing formal relations with a new interstellar power. Earth's military will maintain a presence until our governments finalize the terms of our ongoing cooperation. And should those negotiations falter, Earth's military will reassess the situation and act according to their established protocols. While much is classified, I can assure you Earth's government prioritizes the safety of its people, and its military possesses 3 centuries of experience ensuring threats to Earth's interests are unequivocally addressed. The Academy's threat assessment database chose that precise moment to finalize its updated analysis of Earth's military capabilities, displaying the results with a bureaucratic starkness that amplified the bad news. Species. Reclassification. Human. Previous classification. Developing world. Primitive technology. Minimal threat potential. Updated classification. Advanced military civilization. Combat-tested technology. Significant threat potential. Recommendation: immediate diplomatic outreach and formal alliance negotiations. Priority: Addendum: Earth's military maintains active readiness consistent with a hostile galactic environment. Their defensive posture indicates an expectation of large-scale conflict. Extreme caution advised in all interactions. Final note: previous intelligence assessments were based on civilian technology analysis. Earth's military capabilities remain largely undisclosed, but appear to vastly exceed galactic standards for warfare. Vashtek stared at the display for a long moment, then turned to Chloe, his expression revealing a dawning comprehension that his universe had just become infinitely more complex. "Human," he said, "when Earth's military speaks of diplomatic escort and standard procedures, what precisely are they preparing for?" "The same thing they have always been preparing for. Ever since our sensors first registered a whisper of galactic presence," Chloe responded, a subtle tension lacing her voice. "The chilling thought has lingered. Could galactic harmony be a carefully constructed illusion?" The Academy's senior faculty convened under Emergency Session Alpha, a relic protocol unseen since the bloody hegemony wars, 2 centuries past. Around the immense, polished table sat representatives from 12 distinct species, each struggling to digest information that violently contradicted their core understanding of galactic military strategy. "Let me ensure I've fully grasped this unsettling reality," Commander Felnix began, his usually vibrant scaled hide swirling with agitated hues as he reanalyzed the data streams. "Earth possesses a standing military force, honed by 3 centuries of unrelenting warfare, capable of interstellar combat, employing technologies specifically forged in the crucible of live battle." "Regrettably, that is confirmed," Vashik affirmed, his voice heavy. "And they have discreetly observed our communications for half a century, all while adhering to a strict policy of non-interference. Also verified. Furthermore, their current diplomatic escort consists of a mere 8 vessels, yet their armaments are classified by our sensors as planet killers." The grim assessment is accurate. Commander Felnix's scales settled into a deep, unnerving purple, a shade signaling either profound contemplation or the precipice of sheer panic. "And we invited one of their warriors to attend our esteemed academy, utterly ignorant of this critical data?" "We extended an invitation to one of their soldiers," Dr. Puldren corrected, her holographic image flickering, based on intelligence reports that painted them as promising, yet ultimately fragile. "Our data was catastrophically incomplete." "Incomplete?" Professor Ythrian, the Academy's foremost expert in xenopsychology, leaned forward on her 6 articulated legs, a rustling sound filling the chamber. "We utterly failed to detect a military civilization, relentlessly preparing for galactic warfare, while the rest of us naively luxuriated in a perceived era of perpetual peace?" "In fairness," Instructor Keith Moss interjected, his voice strained, "their technology, it's remarkably primitive by our established standards. Kinetic weaponry, chemical propulsion, no energy shields to speak of." "Primitive, yet undeniably effective," Commander Felnix countered grimly. "Which compels us to confront profoundly uncomfortable truths regarding our own military doctrine. Are our sophisticated technologies actually superior, or have we been meticulously crafting weapons destined solely for sterile laboratory environments, instead of the chaotic, unpredictable reality of the battlefield?" The room's climate control registered a palpable, collective drop in temperature as the sheer gravity of that unsettling question settled upon them. "There's another disquieting element," Professor Ythrian added, her voice low. "If Earth's entire military philosophy is forged in the fires of 3 centuries of near-constant active combat, if their soldiers are trained in live-fire zones, where actual casualties are a stark reality, what does that intrinsically reveal about the fundamental shortcomings of our own training programs?" "Our training programs are perfectly adequate," Keith Moss vehemently protested, his mandibles clicking in agitation. "We've maintained galactic peace and stability for 2 centuries. Commander Felnix cut him off, his tone sharp. 2 centuries spent training soldiers for hypothetical conflicts, utilizing weapons designed for non-existent adversaries, in simulated scenarios utterly divorced from genuine combat. Are we to now confront the fact our military doctrine is fundamentally flawed? I suggest that Earth's methods have proven battle-tested, while ours, sadly, have not." Bashtek activated the communication panel, his movements precise. "Cadet Parker, please report to the faculty meeting immediately." 5 tense minutes later, Chloe entered the meeting room, finding herself the focal point of 12 of the galaxy's most experienced and respected military minds, each gazing at her with an unsettling mixture of curiosity and thinly veiled apprehension, as if they were seeing her species for the very first time. "Please, be seated," Vashek gestured, his voice carefully neutral. "We have a series of pointed questions regarding Earth's military training protocols." "Yes, sir," Chloe replied, her expression carefully guarded. "You mentioned that your graduation exercise possessed an 82% casualty rate?" "Mortality rate," Chloe gently corrected. "There were additional casualties who survived. yet were rendered permanently unfit for military service. Professor Ythrian's antenna twitched subtly. What was the total casualty rate then? 91%, Chloe stated simply. Silence descended upon the room, broken only by the subtle rustling of scales and the collective intake of breath from various alien species. 91%, Commander Felnix repeated slowly, his voice almost a whisper. Of candidates who had already successfully completed basic training and intermediate combat schools? Yes, sir. The graduation exercise is the culminating final evaluation. By that point, each candidate has already demonstrated competency in all required military skills, and yet barely 9% succeed. Military service is simply not meant for everyone, Chloe stated simply. The exercise is specifically designed to identify those candidates capable of functioning effectively under extreme stress with minimal support. How do the training regimes of other galactic militaries compare? Dr. Puldrin inquired, her holographic form shimmering with renewed interest. I don't possess specific data on the training programs of other species, Chloe replied cautiously. But based on my experiences here, I would venture that there are some significant philosophical divergences. For example, Steamed Academy appears to prioritize safety and controlled learning environments. Earth's military unequivocally prioritizes effectiveness in real combat conditions. Are you suggesting our training is inadequate? Keith Moss challenged, his mandibles clicking defensively. I am simply stating it is different. Their method forges soldiers adept at manipulating complex tech in ideal conditions. Ours aims to ensure survival when disaster strikes. You consider that superior? It hinges on the battles you anticipate, I believe. Professor Ythan leaned in. What future conflicts does Earth foresee? The kind where adversaries know our strengths, dissect our strategies, and relentlessly seek our demise by any means necessary. Asymmetric warfare, then? No, simply warfare. Our enemies dictate the conflict's course, unconstrained by fairness or convention, defying our expectations. Commander Felnix, visibly concerned, scrutinized his displays. Human, how would Earth's forces fare against a standard galactic defense force? Chloe chose her words with care. Circumstances heavily dictate the outcome, but Earth's doctrines revolve around combating superior technology. We've grown quite accustomed to that. If battlefield dominance hinges on advanced tech, its neutralization leaves you vulnerable. An example? Your plasma weapons impress, yet require immense power and intricate targeting. What if chaff disrupted those systems? What if our strikes crippled your power? What if electronic warfare crippled those weapons? We have redundancies and fail-safes. Do you? Because Earth's war plans assume the enemy targets them first. We prepare for catastrophic failure, and usually at the worst time. A professional unease passed among the faculty, a dawning realization that core assumptions might be flawed. There's more, Dr. Puldrin added. The energy signatures from Earth's escorts, they carry more than planet killers, multiple planet killers per ship. Commander Felnix questioned, how many vessels to threaten a fortified star system? Our models suggest 50 to 60 using conventional tactics and your weaponry. 3 or 4, Chloe replied softly. Perhaps fewer, given the defenses. The room fell silent, different from before. A silence born of the terrifying understanding that the universe had become infinitely more dangerous. Human, Vashik asked slowly, does Earth's government view the galactic community as a potential threat? Not actively hostile, no, but we prepare for worst-case scenarios. 2 centuries of galactic peace is heartening, but it doesn't alter our defense strategy, which presumes peace is temporary, conflict is inevitable, and survival demands preparedness, even amidst hopes for continued peace. Professor Ythran's antennae vibrated with either excitement or sheer dread. So, Earth has prepared for galactic war, while we've rested on the assumption of lasting peace. Correct. And your military possesses 300 years of brutal combat experience against foes who knew your strengths and sought your annihilation. Indeed, as ours has 200 years of peacekeeping and training exercises. I wouldn't dare speculate on other militaries' capabilities, Chloe demurred diplomatically. No need, Commander Felnix said grimly. You perfectly captured our situation. The comm system chimed softly. Director Vashtek, Captain Zilroth here. Incoming transmissions from 17 species military commands, all requesting data on the human defensive deployment and their capabilities. Inform them a briefing is in preparation. Vashek replied. Sir, there's more. Communications from Earth's diplomatic corps requesting to establish a formal embassy near Academy space. An embassy, a permanent diplomatic presence, offering to share data on Earth's doctrines and methods. Vashtek surveyed his faculty, all considering the implications. They wish to teach us, Professor Yithrin said. They want to share information, Chloe corrected. Earth's government believes the military collaboration and intelligence exchange significantly diminish the risk of conflicts fueled by tragic misunderstandings, just like the one that birthed this very crisis. Commander Felnix's gaze swept across his displays, reflecting a mind racing to reshape decades of military strategy. Director, perhaps it's time we seriously consider Earth's offer. Their training, superior to ours? Their training's forged in the crucible of reality, while ours isn't. Their technology's battle-ready, ours designed for sanitized drills. We've been preparing for phantom wars, while they face those that truly exist. Are you proposing an entire curriculum overhaul? I'm suggesting we learn from a culture boasting 3 centuries more combat experience than we do. Mashtag engaged the comms. Captain Zilrath, inform Earth's diplomatic corps we're eager to discuss their proposal. Yes, sir. Should I also notify the other military commands? Tell them we'll be hosting a joint conference on doctrines and training methods. All are welcome. Captain, perhaps it's time the galactic military community seriously questioned if we're truly prepared for the right kind of battles. 3 hours later, Chloe found herself back at Training Base 7, but the air had shifted. No longer a demonstration subject, she now briefed the Academy's senior combat instructors. Training must exceed the ferocity of actual combat. If our soldiers can withstand the training, they can conquer any enemy. But the casualties, Keithmouse protested. 91% for a training exercise. It isn't a mere exercise, Chloe clarified. It's a final exam. Before the graduation exercise, candidates have undergone 4 years of progressively harder training. The exercise reveals the 9% destined for leadership in the most horrific scenarios, and the other 91% are assigned to other critical roles. Not everyone needs to lead in combat, but leaders must be forged in reality. Reality meant authentic combat. Reality meant high stakes, intense pressure, and little room for error. Instructor Yitham, a crystalline being who communicated through harmonic resonance, posed a question. What about candidates exhibiting leadership but struggling physically? Different specializations demand different requirements, Chloe explained. Naval commanders don't undergo ground forces training. Intelligence specialists face different tests than combat engineers. But everyone entrusted with others' lives in combat is tested under genuine pressure. And it works. It's worked for 300 years. Earth's military has never lost a war. Silence hung heavy. Never? Keith questioned. Individual battles, certainly, but never an entire conflict. Earth's doctrine stems from a fundamental truth. Losing isn't an option. Earth is our only world. If we fall, there's nowhere to retreat. Professor Yithrin, observing the briefing, stepped forward. That's the core difference, isn't it? Most galactic species have multiple worlds, backup colonies, escape routes. Earth is fighting for survival. No, Chloe corrected. Earth is fighting to ensure we never have to fight for survival. There's a difference. If you fight for survival, you're already losing. If you fight to prevent conflicts, you might actually achieve peace. 6 months passed. The Academy's training protocols had been overhauled. The graduation exercise casualty rate rose to 12%. Far from Earth standards, but enough to distinguish the truly capable. Technology programs pivoted from theoretical advancements to battlefield practicality. Most importantly, the galactic military community shared information about their actual capabilities. Earth wasn't the only species holding military secrets. They were just the only ones assuming everyone else did the same. The Academy's new mission statement, carved into the training facility wall, read, Peace through preparedness, victory through tested competence, survival through realistic training. Below, a quote from Cadet Parker's final interview. The best way to avoid fighting a war is to appear so overwhelmingly strong that none dared risk the devastating consequences of aggression. Admiral Thompson's ultimate judgment, archived deep within Earth's diplomatic records under galactic relations, ongoing, read, Mission achieved. The galaxy's military leadership now grasped that Earth stood ready for collaboration, but was undeniably prepared for any war. I urge continuous data exchange and cooperative exercises. P.S. Academy coffee remains an abomination. A cultural exchange initiative is vital to resolve this dire matter. 3 centuries of struggle had imparted invaluable lessons to Earth's armed forces. Paramount among them, the finest triumph is the one that negates the need for violence. Yet should conflict erupt, they would meet it head-on. They remained ever vigilant,